there's movements of resources from the Earth to the Moon going on all the time. They're feeding off us. They're feeding off human energy. They're feeding off the resources of the Earth. And I think there's something specifically important to the Moon and its function to do with gold. Another interesting thing, which I think is, when we get to the Moon matrix, very, very significant, is he was telling me that before the Moon came, the Sun was perceived as female. I think they used to call it Langa, the desired one.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the Moon came, because they said there's African tribes that say, you know, we go back to before the Moon came, that switched and they started perceiving the Sun as male and the Moon as female. And that for me is symbolic, perhaps more than symbolic, of this switch of consciousness that happened when the Moon came. Because when I was in South Africa with him, this is after the book came out, we were chatting in August about this at some length. And he said, you know, another legend about the Moon is that when the Moon came, humanity went crazy. Now, when you look at the effect, never mind the Moon matrix we're going to get into, when you look at the sheer effect on the human hormonal system, for instance, by just the Moon being there, you look at its effect on tidal movements when we are 70–80% water. According to the legends, he was telling me, menstruation started when the Moon came. And of course, it's connected to the Moon cycle. And it's like, when I read accounts of what the world was like before the Moon came, what they call the Golden Age, my mind goes to the Avatar movie and the Blue People, and how they were all at one and interconnected with everything. It was one consciousness, and everyone was aware of that. And then what happened is materialistic, totally left brain, soulless, with no empathy, people arrived in the form of humans in the Avatar movie with their high technology that could blow stuff. And they're after what? They're after resources from that Pandora moon of the Blue People. And I think myself that if you take the humans in the Avatar movie and their high technology weaponry to be these reptilian entities, and you take the Blue People to be humans as we were before the Moon came, then you're pretty much getting the feel for what it was like. And that level of consciousness, that level of awareness changed when the Moon came. You know, the more I've passed, Regina, through this 20 years, the more I've seen that these indigenous stories and legends and symbolic tales, they have a massive, massive basis in truth. Sometimes literally, sometimes if you take the symbolism and decode it, it's there too. And there's definitely a time before the Moon, and I don't think the Moon's been there very long at all. My jury's out, and I'm very open-minded on when, but I would be shocked if it was outside the last 200,000 years, and probably much closer. So there's something happened about 200,000 years ago. And you know, this is an interesting thing. There was, I've got her name in the book, but there was an anthropologist, a researcher into you know, human history, genetic history, who came out with a paper some years ago and said that, it was all in the mainstream media at the time, that she reckoned that humanity came out of Africa from a single mother about 200,000 years ago, which kind of fits this time scale we're looking at, because this is where we move to the next stage of the Moon matrix, which I write about. Going alongside all this, after the cataclysmic events, there was, and again this is recorded in across the world in the different cultures, there was a interbreeding between these entities and humans to create a hybrid bloodline.